Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today I'm making something a little different. These were so anticipated. They are wire flower fairies. I've made a few variations for you, so if you would like to make them, they're surprisingly easy and so sweet. Just stick around. As always, please like this video so I know you're here crafting with me. So this came across my feed, Huang Harmon, and I watched about 4 videos in a row. And then this was delivered to me, The Untidy Artist. And after that, I decided I'm going to make a few. And we're going to start with this one. So I'm going to be using, you can see I've made some with fairy wings, some with short wings and really long legs, but we're going to be using the same stuff. You need a floral flower. You know, you can use the 3-inch flowers like this or the 5-7-inch flowers. It's your choice. You're going to need the full length of 18-gauge floral wire stems, 3 embroidery floss colors. You need a skin tone, a dress tone, and a hair tone. I'm using a 1-inch wood bead so you can measure it. If you have a massive bead stash like I do, just put it on a ruler. We need a ruler, a pair of scissors, wire cutters, and a glue gun. All right, so to get started is super easy. You're just going to take the entire length, and you do need the entire length, and fold it in half. That's it. Kind of squeeze the ends together, and then you're just going to put that end through the wooden bead. And the reason you're doing that is because, well, I'm doing that because I don't have any finger strength, so I use the closing section to help me out. So for the hair, the easiest version is to take one skein, remove the papers, but do not unravel it. Put the end of the string at the bottom, take the wire off the bead, and then just half the embroidery thread goes into that wire. Now that's going to lock our hair on. We're still going to secure it with glue, but it really does help. I've done it a couple different ways, and this is the easiest. All right, so to get started and also to help lock in that head, we're just going to twist as closely to the base of the wood bead as you can get. So you just need a couple of twists. You don't need to go crazy. This is the neck, and you can make it shorter, longer, whatever you'd like to do. But we got to make sure that the wire isn't poking out the top. Now it's time for our ruler. Just lay that down, and you're going to measure about 2 inches. So on some of mine, I did shorter arms so that I could do longer legs. But I would say the first one, start with the 2 inches, bend it in half, and then you're going to loop the other wire over it, and under the other wire. So what that's going to do is form your legs underneath, okay? And you can have short legs, long legs, whatever you'd like to do. You can even bend up the feet the way I've done, or way you're going to do with the hands. It's your choice. I'm not going to do it for this one. All right, so next up, you're going to do the other arm. Measure 2 inches out from that, bring it back in, and then loop it around the center portion of the body. Now you're left with this little cutie. Now it's time to form the body. You're just going to twist these 2 pieces together for about 1 inch. Try and get it pretty tight. And then if your legs are uneven, just cut off the end. That's it. Now you have the body. See how quick and easy this is? Y'all, my daughter did one. She was 9 at the time. And I tell you, we had such a good time. All right, so this is the skin color. But before we get to that, I would say after doing a few of these, scoosh down the bead if you can, and then glue in the hair. So you're going to put a little glue in, pop the bead back up, and then you're actually going to make sure that wire isn't poking out, but then you're going to flip it upside down, right? There you go. And then you're just going to fill that with glue. I found that I had little kids playing with these, and I wanted to make sure they were secure. All right, so when speaking of secure, you're going to want to add a little bit of glue right to the body. Now it's time to press in that piece of embroidery thread, let it sit so it adheres, and then just cut off that little tail. Boop. And now it's fun and frustrating at the same time. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping. Now you're going to have to move the hair out of the way this whole time up here at the top, but don't worry, it goes pretty quickly. All right, so you're just wrapping it from the torso, where we glued it, up and into a neck. So I will recommend that you use little tiny dabs of glue all the way through this process. The reason I say that is because I did have some unravel when my Audible book got really good. I'll be like, oh, and I forget that I was doing something, and yeah, it unraveled. So the little dabs of hot glue here and there are really helpful. So all you're doing is making sure you're getting the wrap as close to the previous loop as you can get, right? Because you don't want to see any of the green. When you get to the base of the neck, and you're now just going to start on the rest of the body. And so the first part is to cover the arms. So you're going to secure under one arm, and then just so you leave it there, press down as hard as you can and get at the body as flat as you can. It's going to be bumpy, like don't worry about that, but just try and make it as tight as you can before you start wrapping, because you don't want somebody to be able to squeeze it and then the whole, it becomes loose. All right, so this part's the fun part, super easy. Put the hair towards you and wrap all the way from one arm all the way to almost the end. Add a little dab of hot glue when you're maybe a 1/4 inch away from the end of the arm, and that will A, secure that glue in place, but also B, help you do the next step, and that is to cover the very end of the loop of the hand. So we're letting that glue sit. You're going to go over, and it's going to look wonky, but you have to cover the little glue or the green part at the end. And then add a little more glue, come back and cover up those little strings you had that were doing the end. Go all the way back into the torso. So this part's pretty easy, and I recommend a good Audible book or listening to the radio or a podcast or something. When you need to go to the other side, you're going to go underneath one arm and over the shoulder of another. And that way it'll make the little wrap solid on the arm side, and then it will allow you to go under the body, there you go, and then over the other side. And then that's how we do the other arm. All right, so I'm just holding it in place again, and now I'm going to wrap the other side of the torso under one arm, over the other, adding a little bit of dabs of hot glue here and there just so it doesn't unravel. All right, and that hair in the way is okay. You're not gluing it to anything, so it should be fine. But the goal is to cover up all of your green and then do the arm all the way down the other end. All right, so you can see we're going to go all the way out. Again, I like to put a little glue right before I start and then just go all the way out. Do the little do the little hand the same exact way as we did it before. A little bit of glue to hold everything in, and then go like kind of vertical and then make sure you cover that green bit at the end. And I know it'll look a little wonky until you get it covered. And just go back this whole way here. There we go. It doesn't go that fast. It goes pretty fast. It doesn't go that fast. All right, so once you get back into the torso, you're just going to cover the torso exactly like we covered the arms, just down, making sure everything is covered and putting hot glue there. Now, when you get to the split of the leg, you can make little shorts, you can do little shoes of different colors, whatever you'd like. But for this gal, we're just going to do all the way down to the end. Again, adding some glue, making sure we're covering it all up, making sure it stays. I'm just holding it in the glue there, and then back up to the body. So you do the other leg and then go all the way back up. So you're going down and then back up. And if you see a little hole like that in the body, don't worry about it. We're just going to cover it up with a colored bodice. So don't worry. Speaking of the colored bodice, now it's time. So we're going to start it the same exact way as we did the other stuff, and we're just going to secure the glue, snip off the tail, and then wrap underarm to over shoulder, and then do it on the other side, underarm to over shoulder, and then down to where the legs meet. Super quick, right? I don't exactly know how much each of these took, probably 14-15 minutes for each of them. But it's so much fun. I had a good time with my daughter. So what I'm doing here is just removing the really big green leaves off this flower. I'm going to cut the stem so I don't have a huge thing to work with there. But I'm going to keep the pieces in order. I'm going to get 2 or 3 at a time, and I'm going to snip the inside of that hole because I need to be able to thread it over her legs. If you have one of these big green pieces with plastic on it, don't try scissors. Just get an X-Acto knife and cut the slits the same way. Once you have everything cut, you're just going to start building. It's super easy. Go ahead and put any greenery that you like at the top so it can be seen. Glue it down first and then thread each petal on. So you're going to be adding glue after every couple petals just so they stay in place. You know, it's also, you see off to the side that little green like that thing right there. It's like plastic. It was in between some of my petals, and I used them on the doll so that I could have a nice big full skirt. All right, so I didn't use the very tiny petals because I used those like on other dolls for wings, okay? For this one, we're not going to use them so you can see them off to the side. And here's the fun part. I'm not even going to joke. This was really fun. The hair is a little bit frustrating, but it's also really fun. First thing you need to do is create a bang. Whatever style bang you want, just put a little half moon glue in front and then flip it over so it secures some down. Flip it over to the back, add a little half moon, maybe a 1/4 inch away from where the hair is, and then glue the bottom up. Now, this is like my 4th or 5th one, so I was going a little fast and not paying attention, but we're about to cut the strands, and I realize that I actually cut to right there. I cut right through the whole thing. So don't do that, but I'm going to keep those strands because I'm going to glue them back on. Otherwise, our girl's going to have a little lighter hair than we want. So you can see I just totally cut it way too high. So I'm just going to loop these over, turn the doll, and on the underside of the hair, I'm going to glue these down back here. And again, I like to show the mistakes. I don't know if the other videos did because I didn't watch the hair parts, but I just wasn't paying attention, y'all. It must have been a really good part of the Audible book. All right, so now we're going to start styling it, but I decided to be a glutton punishment and decided to unravel each strand of embroidery thread. So in just a minute, I'm going to show you what it looks like unraveled. I'm going to show you a couple of different hairstyles. But I wanted for this one to look different. Again, this is like my last one that I'm doing. So I unraveled each and every one of these. Do I recommend it? No, unless you're listening to a really good Audible book like I was, or avoiding cooking dinner, also like I was. So I tried to see if the little like cat brush or dog brush or whatever would be better at it. It wasn't. Just do it with your fingers. All right, so now I'm just going to give it a little brushing, and I'm just trying to make it a little even. Now, there will be spots, bald spots. It's okay. We're going to make them all go away, I promise. So you can see me, I'm on the struggle bus here, but once I get it a little bit, tamped down, I'm going to go ahead and cut this in the back. Just cut it to where it's even, for this hairstyle anyway. All right. Now it's starting, it's really shiny. This was not a hugely, shiny embroidery thread, but it looks really good unraveled. Not that I'm telling you to do that. What we're going to do now is we're going to create the hair shape. So we're just going to pull some pieces to the side, and we're going to create a very thin line of hot glue, and we're going to join where we glued before in the front all the way down the side. And you're just going to basically the nape of the neck. So you're not going very far at all. We're just going to end up doing that on the other side as well. You can see I'm just moving it around. I'm covering any balder spots there. Oopsie. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of glue. I'm making sure there's not a big channel of glue, so I'm using the tip of the glue gun to sort of flatten everything out. And here I'm filling in some holes on the other side, just making sure I get that back down as well. And so now what I'm doing is just pulling down the hair in the back and making sure it's flat. And so I'm just going to glue all this down on the other side and repeat the process. The hair is the most frustrating part, but by this point, I had tried quite a few styles and it was easy. So now I'm just going to pull all of her hair to the side, and then I'm going to tie it with the same color embroidery thread as I used on her dress, just to bring it together in with that darker pink from the flower. I will say my daughter and I had a great time going to the craft stores and picking out flowers and embroidery thread colors. So you can draw on a face or just leave them like this. So I did mention I was going to share different hairstyles. I created a braided bun. I created a double length. These were actually surprisingly easy. You're just going to build it the same way. Instead of cutting it off, you're going to braid even the scraggly portions and wrap it around, securing it with glue. This one was the one with 2 strands. I don't recommend this. This was very frustrating, but the fairy wings are super easy. Just fold the petal in half. You can see she's got some colored ballet slippers. And this one's a teeny tiny one. I used a half of a wire. That was also frustrating, so I would stick with the whole wire. As always, thank you for being here. Let me know what you think, and as always, please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.